Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Educated Collins Snap channel. How you doing? I hope you guys are doing well, actually. So today we do have some highlights. We casted a tournament over the weekend. It was a SnapBattleArena tournament. It was very long. We didn't cast for 8 hours, but I did the final stretch of it. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the deck itself that won, and also just some highlights from the tournament and casting. So stay tuned for that. I was gonna go over originally going to do like an in-depth guide, or not in-depth guide, but just like dive deep into the deck. But as you can take a look at the actual deck itself, it's a pretty common Shuri list right now. Shuri very dominant in the meta. It is interesting that even though Shuri's always been strong, it wasn't until the Thanos changes that Shuri really started showing up in tournament results. So that is cool, but it's not really a particularly unique list. I don't really think it makes too much sense to dive deep within every card. You have the standard Shuri Red Skull Taskmaster combo, and then you have the Vision in battle mode is very hard to Shang-Chi because you don't know what it's going to be. Then you have the She-Hulk combo with the Taskmaster with the Sunspot. That makes a lot of sense. Then you have the Zero Titania Lizard early game engine, and then you have the armor and the Cosmo to prevent Shang-Chi and any of those normal counterplay options. And then Polaris is just a nice tech card. This is the most flexible piece. A lot of people are playing something else instead of Polaris, but Polaris was a pretty common play for 3 energy. So not a crazy deck list. This is very standard, but it performed super well in the tournament. A lot of people were playing this type of deck, and overall this is not important. I just kind of wanted to showcase the deck, but I really hope you guys like the casting, like the highlights. If you want to watch the whole thing, I will put a link to the actual tournament itself if you want to watch the whole thing and see how high level players are playing or piloting this deck in battle mode. But without further ado, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you on the other side. Blah, blah, blah. You know how I go.
My name is Boulevard. Joining me is Educated Collins. Collins, we're not quite sure what the top 8 is just yet, but we know it's at least half Shuri Red Skull. How are we feeling about that?
Hello, everyone. I'm not surprised, honestly. So some Shuri players got defeated. I will just say shame on them. A little bit of shade, sorry, but I just had to mention it. All right, finally, we're going to see Shuri and Bar Sinister. I've been waiting for this. Let's go.
Yeah, if Browd can find a Shuri that is still missing in action.
I'm giving it back for this game.
Okay.
You can have it back. Yeah, just for this one.
Very kind of you, Collins.
I'm a generous god.
Nova Roma, if nothing's going to get us, this Nova Roma better dig us into a Shuri, and it doesn't. We just find more one-drops.
Whoa, Titania. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Luckily, Zero has an animation of a little laser beam, so like when you start to play the armor, Zero's like, yeah. That's my Zero impression, by the way.
One is fighting the middle, one is fighting the right lane. Both are waiting for the Nova. Now, the question is, do you next turn Cosmo the Bar Sinister, just because both players are going for that meme. So do you get ahead of that? You could also just pass and go She-Hulk if you don't draw it. Okay, we are going to do that. So Morin is thinking about his play. So it looks like he probably has something in his hand to play with. So that's something you can look at. Oh, scary.
Okay. Who do you think snapped here?
I think it was Moyen for sure.
Yeah, Browd's not necessarily in like a snap position.
Yeah, so he's going for the priority play, I believe.
We're all tied up here going into turn number 4.
Oh,
and it looks like priority's going to land with Browd.
So, okay. Do we go Cosmo into Bar Sinister? Oh, we are.
We're thinking about it. Moyen, are you aware? You know this is a possibility.
I like it. I like this a lot. Even though
I really I love the balls that this
It's
play puts forward.
He's playing to the chat, guys. He's
There
he committed. He committed.
there is the correct play and there is the winning play.
Well,
Is this the correct play?
I
I don't
mean,
know if the stats support this, but if Shuri goes there, it's definitely the winning play.
is it that really much worse than anything else he can do? Honestly, I don't
Not
think it's that much
really.
worse.
I
So,
think that, for the highlight reel potential, it's definitely worth it.
if he gets the
There's
Shuri,
a card there from Moyen.
if he gets the Shuri, it's clippable, man. You gotta
Come on,
think
come
about
on, Browd. You got this. Show me Shuri, Moyen. Open that door. Shuri!
that. Yeah. You gotta. I mean, like both players are thinking the same thing. Like this is such a meme. I gotta do it, and you're like, let's outplay the meme. Oh, it's so beautiful.
It works out so well for Brad now. Okay, so it was Moyen that snapped earlier, so now Browd is snapping back, and we're playing for all the marbles.
Yeah, he has. Oh, it's such. You love to see it. Oh, it's so beautiful. Okay.
Oh, that was absolutely beautiful. Who does Weird World benefit here, Collins?
Oh, it benefits the viewers. We're the ones that win. Yeah. Reality. Okay, so it's not Ragged.
Ooh.
That's actually pretty good though for Ragged. I might consider snapping but that yeah. I honestly yeah. Okay, so I think Ragged snapped here, right? I think so, right? So
I'm very curious on how this one works out because KX4N actually has a lot to dump onto the board before turn 4.
He does.
And depending on how we want to play the Dark Dimension here, things could get pretty tricky.
You could go She-Hulk into the Dark Dimension and just play nothing. Yes, I like it.
I think the big question is going to be, is KX4N eyeing the Vision or the Blue Marvel as the turn 4 play, considering they can get down 3 other units alongside it?
Well, what gives you the most... Oh, no, it's Red Skull, right? Like that's what we're eyeing, I assume. The question is, do you want to zero the Red Skull or do you want to zero the Titania, right? So, depending on who has priority... So Ragged has priority. So if you go Titania in the Dark Dimension, it won't lose. It won't flip, because they'll get their play out first. So you can just try to win. We're trying to win every lane. Okay, that's fair too. Then Sunspot mid Titania, right? Something like that.
Trying to look
it's really hard to beat that Red Skull on the left lane. Maybe Sunspot left.
There's not a lot of playable cards here for Ragged. I mean, we're looking at like
all the stones.
She-Hulk could come down depending on what actually was played at the Dark Dimension on the previous turn, but outside of that, we're looking at like maybe Lockjaw into some large units. I don't think Shang-Chi's a realistic option here with Ragged having priority. I don't know if you really want to be Thanosing through this, and M'Baku is in the deck, so that will potentially pop out later on.
That's a risky mid Titania. Okay. Maybe we have Blue Marvel on the Dark Dimension or something?
No, Blue Marvel's in KX4N's
Oh,
hand.
right, it is. You're right. Oh, Khazar, though.
Not quite enough, though.
Are we lagging? Or is this just...
No, that would be KX4N lagging. It looks like they're streaming from their phone, so...
Well,
like
this is a
earlier.
fantastic image of She-Hulk. Isn't she a beaut? Yeah, so since both players are running Shuri, the Mojo World is just like, okay, I guess we're full committing. And there's no Shang-Chi, right? So...
No.
Yeah, so these matches are gonna be real fun, guys. Like, who draws Shuri into Red Skull, into Taskmaster? Who does it
this
better?
Arrow versus Polaris tech come up at all? You know, that's really the only thing that we can kind of look forward to.
I actually do think it will come up quite a bit, right? In terms
Certainly has potential to.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you play Arrow on 5, and then they can't play into Mojo World. It's genius. Like,
yeah. It is. I will say the Arrow is a big disruptor of the She-Hulk Taskmaster turn 6.
I actually
If you
think
can figure out where they're going.
I actually think there's a good chance that Moyen can win the Mojo World by just doing double 3 on turn 6, right? You'll play Polaris on into something, and then as long as you win 4 cards into Mojo World, you just win that lane, right? So I think that's an easy way of winning that lane in particular.
It'll depend on if Moyen actually does get something down
Commit,
here.
yeah. He skipped his turns. So the problem is like you can't do nothing. Okay, good.
Oh boy, here we go. Project Pegasus.
Well, these are awful though for Broad.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's really any choice here other than Vision.
Arrow into Murder World? Oh,
maybe Arrow
okay.
into Murder World.
You have a different idea than I do. Okay.
I'm worried that my opponent's just going to play like, oh yeah, you know, here's... I don't even know what I would expect Moyen to be playing at this point. Given that there is no Shang-Chi, you know, you can just kind of throw down your Red Skull now, but then you're losing out on potential Shuri value. It is very dependent on the hand. Both players only have 4 cards, so there's probably not a whole lot of combo setup that's going to be coming out here, but instead it's going to be Arrow into Project Pegasus over Murder World.
Not Murder World. I'm a little disappointed.
Or Mojo World.
Not Murder World. I'm still a little disappointed. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, but right. But Moyen's a good player. You hate to see it, Chet. I guess you go 0 She-Hulk.
Yeah, not a lot of reason to sandbag it.
Well, you can't. Well, I guess yeah. I guess you can. The Cosmo doesn't matter.
And now I think we get to see the text kind of come in because, like you mentioned, Polaris now can secure Mojo World in one of the final turns of the game.
I mean, one player played Shuri and the other one didn't. I don't know what else you want me to talk about.
I mean, it is sometimes that cut and dry.
Yeah, so it's a little rough.
Yeah, the awkward. I mean, so there's not going to be anything coming out of Moyen this turn, though, right? Surely you're not going to waste your Shuri on. You know, we are only on turn 4 just now, so it's not like we're going to throw a Lizard or a Polaris into this, right?
You could. I mean, he doesn't have Sunspot, right? So you are losing the mana if you do it like that. So I could see him playing something.
I think my concern, if I were Moyen, would be if you Shuri into like Polaris here, and then Broud's turn is to Shuri, you probably lose that game.
Does the Shuri do anything now? Is the Vision not better, or is it? Yeah, I guess it still buffs your Sunspot. And
I'm a little surprised to not see the Shuri go Mojo World.
Well, you want to win. You want to win Mojo World. Yeah, but yeah, this is what I'm saying, right? Moyen can just double 3 here, or well, 3 and 2, I guess. It doesn't matter what you play in the Mojo World, so you could just move Vision to one lane, and then you just play Polaris in another. And I think the armor.
Moyen should have what, like 4 cards in hand? Yeah, 4 cards in hand. So definitely not out of the question for it to be that Polaris armor or Polaris lizard like you had mentioned.
I'm surprised that Moyen didn't snap here. A lot of the times, the first like couple of games, you're just kind of feeling your opponent out, and a lot of people don't like playing like all in, I guess, in the early game, because like if both players do that and they play the game out to the end of the turn, right? That's 8 cubes in the first game, so a lot of people spend the first couple of turns just kind of figuring out like how's my opponent like to play, how's he like to snap, that kind of thing. But in open deck list, like you kind of get that like half of it out of the way. So yeah, this is exactly my thought process. This is why I was like super confident in Moyen's position like from game 1, because you have like this is something the Arrow player cannot do, right? Like they see the Mojo World and you're both thinking, oh, this is going to be a nice fair match, but like I'm thinking, oh, I have Polaris, so you just lose that instantly, and then you see that they're playing into the Mojo World, so I'd have been snapping earlier here. But I think like for the first game, it's fine to just kind of test things out, see how things feel, see what kind of tricks the opponents are trying to pull. So I think it's generally fine to be on the safe side here.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little surprised that Browd
Played
committed
it
that hard
out.
to the Mojo
Yeah,
World,
yeah.
understanding that like the one difference in this deck list is that Moyen can pull you out of Mojo World later on in the game.
I mean, sometimes you're not thinking about it. You know, you've just been crushing like non-Shuri decks the whole time, and you're just like, this game's too easy. And then you fight a mirror with with the previous winner, and you're just like, oh wait, this guy knows. If he went for the Taskmaster, he wins. If he does nothing, he wins. If he just plays the cards, he wins. If he passes, and then like the only downside is if he doesn't draw that She-Hulk for one, right? Then it'd be hard to get the win there. You'd have to kind of rely on something else entirely.
I'm not even sure what their options were at that point, given that you kind of needed Sunspot to still float a little bit of mana in order to actually get the win. But it does work out. Nearly half the cube's gone for Recluse already here in the first game, and now just gonna quickly armor the Vorm. You're not gonna really play any games on trying to bait Recluse into maybe playing out a dead card there first.
Okay, so looking at the deck list, it's very Beast Falcon-esque, but it just runs the Thanos and Devilsaur engine at the end, just to kind of give you a little bit more of a top end, which makes sense. Pretty cool list. I do think Mind Stone on 1 is pretty powerful. That's one of the best one drops you can play for a Thanos deck because it gives you your stones. It means that you're not going to be drawing too many like bad hits. So that's pretty nice there.
I want to say that Onslaught Citadel is a little awkward for Moyen here. I think that an Onslaught Citadel Devil Dinosaur is one of the ways that Recluse can actually contest even a Shuried location.
Same thing with Blue Marvel. I definitely think Onslaught Citadel is definitely a location that Recluse has to take advantage of and try to win this particular game super hard. So I definitely think hopefully things work out for him and he can find a way. Because obviously I'm going to be rooting for the people that are not playing Shuri. I have full bias for sure. So we'll see if we can make it work.
No, we just got word from production that Moyen is actually the current defending champion. One thing I do not know about Marvel Snap is really anything about any player. Everything is so scattered. I haven't been able to find that sort of centralized location that you'd look for. And a big Black Widow here to deny a potential Shuri draw on 4. That is huge timing for Recluse.
This is pretty bad, I would say, for the Shuri player, which is great news for everyone else. I also like the Soulstone in the middle, right? Getting that -2. It's really going to be hard to contest. And the way that the New York runs, they know that the Shuri player isn't running any location destruction, so they can't mess with the Citadel, they can't mess with New York. So because of that, they know, okay, I'll be able to move my cards out of the Citadel to play my big finish, whether that's Blue Marvel or Devil Dinosaur. So I actually think Recluse is a great position. I'm surprised they haven't snapped. You have to be taking advantages of these setups to snap earlier. So I probably would have snapped earlier if I was the Thanos player here, but it's still pretty fine. Hopefully they can find the draws they need.
I think Recluse is sort of needs to get down either a Beast or Falcon effect here. They are representing very weak numbers and very high numbers of cards at each location, and with the ability to just move everything out of the center for Moyen over to New York and sort of lose that double Soul Stone from the Onslaught Citadel, I think that like Vision into Red Skull, if there are no bounce effects from Recluse, could just be enough to still win this game.
Well, the Thanos player does run Khazar and Blue Marvel, so if they just play those two, right, like you're going to be super solid. So I actually don't think it's that bad. You just have to, make sure you win one of the lanes, right? Even though you'll okay, so that'll win the lane there.
All right, I was making jokes a couple of weeks ago about how, one of the things I was not looking forward to as a caster was the first time New York popped up, because the mind games that come into this location on, like, where is my opponent going to put their cards? What are they moving over here? Is it the Devil Dinosaur coming over, or is it the Soul Stone, or are they just leaving everything at the Citadel and playing something else there entirely? It's a huge mind game that's like, there's not enough time to explain all of the intricacies of what could be going on here, but instead Moyen's just going to take the retreat later and lose 1 cube.
I'm actually very disappointed that Moyen's only losing 1 cube here.
Educated calling snap. Once you watch him, you won't go back. He'll teach you to marvel snap. Your skills will be improving. How you doing?